An early November rainstorm at the Ant Village put a halt to my house building project, but it also gave me a chance to observe the water flow on my property.
Here we get to see the water harvesting at work. Water's coming off the road, both directions here. And it's flowing down into the road I cut into my plot here. Quite a lot of water in this storm. So the plan is eventually to put a berm right here and direct this water more over that way, higher up on the little plateau here. But for now, it's flowing down underneath my wood pile here. Thankfully that's raised up off the ground. Over here in front of my house, which is sort of protected, you can see that's on a raised platform, so the water is flowing away from it, sorta. And it's going down onto this new road I cut, which is kind of acting as a swale right now, collecting a lot of this water, letting it soak in. Although it seems now it's well saturated. As we walk down this way, you can see where it's spilling over, going down the hill at this point. So this is kind of like the spillway here. It's collecting water all the way from over there, and this whole road in front of my plot. So eventually I can make this level and probably put a ditch along the inside of the road to actually let the water soak in there instead of being on the road, and still have a little spillway here into the draw.
The rainy weather also gave us a chance to make another trip out to Mike Oehler's place in Idaho, and allowed Shelby and Charla the chance to check out his ridge house. On the drive back, we were amazed at the views as the land puts on its winter coat. Mike suggested that we drive a little bit out of our way to a place called the Ross Creek Cedar Grove, and we weren't disappointed. This is one of the last remaining old-growth cedar groves in the world, and it was incredible to witness what a mature forest really looks like. Well, the weather cleared, and it was time to get back to work building the structure of my house. I still had several purlins to put up on top of the roof, and although I was alone, I found a pretty easy way to do this. I just attached boards to the beams right below where the purlins would go, and set them on top. Then I just had to climb up and screw them into place. I set in a total of 9 purlins at just under 2 feet apart, and once I got them all in, it was really cool to see the final roof line of my home. I was also really excited to start putting up the roof boards and get some real shelter over my work area. First I tried to just put them in with nails, but the unevenness of the purlins meant I had to screw every one in at the top and the bottom. But really, the hardest part was just getting the boards up there, and thankfully Josh came over and helped me out for the final stretch. It was just in time too, because the next morning I woke up to the first snow of the year. Fortunately, I came to find out that working below freezing in the snow is a lot more comfortable than working just above freezing in the rain, and so I continued work on my house. I had to install 2 more posts to finish up the back retaining wall. I notched them into the lower purlins and made sure they fit nice and tight and vertical. Then I was able to move on to putting the shoring on the north wall, which will hold the dirt back as it rises up and over the roof. I actually ended up taking all this down a few days later and doing it in a different way when I realized I needed to conserve 2x6s for the rest of the walls. I also needed to put up some temporary tarps up on the roof, although there's a layer of ice preventing me from doing that for now, so I moved on to different phases of the project. The next task was to install some angle braces along the south side of the structure to counteract the force of all the dirt that will be pushing against the north wall. I also realized that by incorporating these into the inside of the structure, I could gain about another 4 feet of floor space. I raised the beams into place by resting them on my climbing boards, and then used the electric chainsaw to slightly flatten the post while also cutting off the beam at the right angle. This little trick made it really easy to get the braces to fit nice and flat. Once I had them in place, I pre-drilled holes and then secured them in place with a 10-inch lag bolt. I got all 3 braces in place and provided some much needed lateral support for the structure. In a way, this portion of the structure will also be acting as a roof and will be supporting quite a bit of dirt, so I decided to install purlins here as well. So after some very quick and dirty notching using the electric chainsaw, I installed some of the tops from the trees I've been peeling, and then trimmed them to fit. Next, I installed some more bracing underneath this little roof to help hold back the weight and also to reduce the spans for the shoring on these sides. Again, holding the log into place and then trimming it with the electric chainsaw made it a lot easier to get all the angles correct. The next day, I prepared the posts to receive another set of angle braces that will help hold up the roof. Instead of holding a heavy log in place and then cutting it, this time I screwed a board into place and then traced the angles with a marker. Then I just had to screw this board onto my logs and use it as a template to make the cuts. No math was involved, and the logs fit perfectly first time, although they were a bit unwieldy to hold up there by myself. The next day, in some much nicer sunny weather, I figured out that I could use a ratchet strap to hold the logs into place, which allowed me to relax and make sure that everything was lined up and straight. I used construction screws to secure it in place while I pre-drilled and installed more log screws. I used the ratchet strap method to get the other two braces installed and secured, watching the final shape of my new house come into being as another winter storm rolled in, darkening the skies. The next morning, I woke to another winter landscape, and I marveled at its beauty as I walked through the forest towards Alishan Abbey. But along with this beauty came some much colder weather, adding a new challenge in the race to finish my house.